Hey everyone, welcome to the SuperMegaUltraForce podcast. This is Wyatt Summers.
And I'm Bill.
Alright, and today we are talking about just whatever the hell we want because,
much.
Yep. This is our first ever podcast, the first ever recorded that's going to go out. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. But yeah, we're a podcast that likes to talk about everything in the geek culture or whatever you like to call it. We like to talk about games, comic books, movies, pretty much anything that comes to mind in those kind of things. So hopefully you guys that are listening will enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still playing Destiny?
Yeah, I'm playing Destiny. Hard mode came out this weekend, or actually came out Wednesday. And I really want to try it, but I gotta wait to see if there's going to be a raid group that'd be willing to go through it. One of the good things I want to add about Destiny that's pretty cool is that the groups there are actually a lot nicer. They're not like the elitist kind of Call of Duty people that you'd expect. The ones that are just kind of like you're not like. I mean, I do think I hear about those sometimes, but I hear that people most often are a lot nicer in those communities. Where they're not like, you have to be level 32 to be with us, or I'm going to boot you, or whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of times when a game first comes out, it's always going to attract that kind of crowd, the Call of Duty guys who are tired of that. And then, as the time goes on, the community will change, and then, well, not change, it'll just kind of like people who want to stay with the game, the people you want to be paired with, essentially. But
so, I'm going to be honest. This was so spontaneous, I completely forgot about the notes. So I hope you remembered some things to talk about, because otherwise I'm just going to pull them out of my head or my ass.
It's good.
On them.
Well, right now, because in the one that's not going to come out, I assume now,
yeah,
we were talking about Resident Evil, and this was before the actual remake on the Xbox and PlayStation and PC came out. And now it's out, and I've been playing it. And I was kind of unsure of it at first, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but I like it. It's a good port.
I was really glad that they finally came out with that. Yeah. The GameCube one that we had a while back was so awesome, and that it sucks that was the only way to really play it. But I mean, it was a great console. But I'd like to have something more modern and be able to play it.
Yeah. The widescreen scan, like basically because the game wasn't made in like 16:9, whenever you're playing it that way, the environments are kind of stretched, so to speak. So when you're walking in certain rooms, it'll like pan, which I thought I was actually gonna get really tired of, but it's really grown on me. Like it feels much more natural.
When I first saw it, it looks like it looks like the camera was like moving upwards and downwards, almost like it was like a monster or an enemy that was going to attack you. It
was very off-putting at first, but you quickly get accumulated to it.
Yeah.
And some of the environments do look a little murky, but the character models themselves look really good.
So if they make a Resident Evil 0 port, do you think you'd get that?
Oh yeah. I only played through 0 probably like 2-3 times, and I'd like to go through it. It'd be the most fresh experience to go back through again, because 0 was fun. It's hard, but
it's funny. I think that was like the easier one for me, because I had less trouble with it. You didn't have as many enemies that were enemies like the hunters that would like speed directly at you at lightning speed to attack. I think the enemies in that one were frogs.
They actually did have a frog enemy that would one hit kill you. It could actually use its tongue to grab you and pull you in. And if your support partner didn't, if you were too low a health or your support partner wasn't there to help you, you would just get swallowed.
Yeah. Then what they should do with that game? They should have co-op.
That'd be cool. Especially now that well, I don't know how the framework would work for if one character wanted to go into another room, I guess they could just disappear or whatever, but fade away. But I don't know. I mean, it could work. You know what they need to bring back? Resident Evil Outbreak. Now that there's an actual network to support that would be awesome.
That would those Resident Evil games with that one were really cool, but you always had to play them solo because none of us ever had the broadband online system.
I didn't know anybody that did.
Yeah. Who was your favorite character to play as on those?
I always liked the old security guard guy.
Oh yeah,
the guy who looked like Ving Rhames, sort of.
That was pretty cool.
I forgot what Mark, I think his name was.
Yeah. Do you remember when me and Nathan kept arguing over who was Kevin and who was David?
God.
I'm Kevin. No, I'm David.
Yeah, you think honestly, like to me, like playing as David probably would have been the cooler option.
Yeah.
Because like.
And he was the one that was like, was he a plumber that wore like a yellow jumpsuit and then had the tied back hair?
Oh shit, I forgot about him. That was I think that might have been okay. I might be thinking of the doctor guy.
Okay.
Because I know there was. I completely forgot about that.
We have to look this up sometime. But
I need to bring my laptop on this, or sit here with my laptop so I can fact check while you talk about other stuff.
Yeah, that'll be a good Let's Play though. Like, because I still have my copies, and my PS3 still runs PS2 games. So
I wonder if that would work.
Maybe we'll see.
That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. It's probably too good to be true.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Because cool things never want to work.
You know the cool thing about those Resident Evil games? I always liked that all the tyrants had the coolest names. Like, they always had, like... so they started off with, like, the T-102 or whatever and everything. But then they had an enemy called the Nemesis. Mm-hmm. And then they started getting with weirder names. The less popular ones have the coolest names. They've got Nyx, which is the god of darkness. Mm-hmm. And, what is the...
there was the one... it was an Outbreak.
I think one was called Uranus or something like that. Or Uranus, depending on how you want to phrase it.
Thanos was one. I think that was an Umbrella Chronicles. Thanos. Yeah, Thanos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They were Thanos before it was cool.
Yeah. Yep. At the time, yeah, because that back then, if you read comics, you were a loser.
Yep.
Or nobody wanted anything to do with you.
Yep.
Day the podcast. Something about Outbreak. Or going back to it. Or what you were saying about hunters and stuff. I'm actually right at that point.
Are you?
In the remake, yeah. We're about to meet them again. And I felt stupid because I got all my ammo ready for the fight with Plant 42, but I forgot if you're Jill and you use the V-Jolt, you don't have to fight it.
Oh, yeah.
Barry just rolls in with his Deus Ex Machina flamethrower and decides to save you.
One of my best memories of Resident Evil was the whole thing, that audio clip you found where it was taking a lot of the sound effects of the game out of context to make a sex scene.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember a lot of the clips actually, because I was just like, "What the hell is this?"
It was so funny. It worked so well, and
Chris's like get hurt sound is so it's so funny. It's so funny how like prevalent that was throughout. That was the one they used the most. Look at the waveform on that one. They they used his the most. I remember in that clip. I don't even know if you could find that anymore. That's like one of those things that like when the internet was first around, there was all these little videos or like sound clips that you probably can't fucking find anymore because they're just gone.
I don't know about that. I'm sure it's somewhere. Someone's got them
in the ether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what'd you think of the new the Ant-Man trailer that came out I think a week or two ago?
That's kind of weird. I mean, not to say weird isn't bad. It's just like I expected the tone to shift once you see Paul Rudd's reaction, but it stayed with that kind of somber approach to it, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm still interested in it. I still want to see it because I like Paul Rudd a lot. Michael Douglas is cool. It sucks that I'd be more excited if Edgar Wright was still doing it, but I still think it'll be pretty good.
I think that movie's still going to have aspects of his script or just the way he was doing the movie, because you can kind of see it with Paul Rudd just being like, okay,
yeah,
can I change the name? And it just, I think that him dropping out of that movie, he dropped out too late for them to really alter it, in any way.
It's true.
So I feel like a lot of his influence is still going to be in that movie regardless, which I'm going to be glad for him because...
Yeah, because that was like the main reason I was excited. That was before they did any casting. They said they had him, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'm in this.
Yeah,
like me some Edgar Wright. What's he doing now? I forget. He's doing something new now, wasn't he?
I can't.
Or he got attached to something else. I know.
Oh, Star Trek.
They finally announced who that is.
Oh,
it's not him. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's the guy who I think he did Fast 5, Justin Lin or whatever.
Oh, that's gonna be
interesting to say the least. It's probably the nicest thing that people were saying when that got announced.
Oh. Yeah, well, I mean, I love Edgar Wright, but I don't know how well he would do in kind of like. I mean, I like him in a comedy kind of non-serious aspect, but I've never seen him in a serious role, but has a hint of comedy, and that's kind of the way Star Trek has been, at least for the reboots. To me, is they have those really serious moments and really like dark moments, but then like you'll have like Simon Pegg's character say something ridiculous or whatever that you
and honestly, like, it's true. He's kind of done. I don't want to say he's done the same thing, but he's kind of had a genre he kind of sticks to, which is fine. But it's always interesting to see a director who doesn't normally tackle certain things and see how well they do with it.
Certainly has really good casting roles. I mean, having what is his name? Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict.
And
Ace Cucumber Bob.
Speaking of Benedict Cumberbatch, what do you think of him as Doctor Strange?
I'll be fair to him. I've seeing how people see him, especially like his fans, are incredibly rabid, and they can be pretty annoying for the most part. Nothing against him. I would have preferred somebody kind of like it's that kind of. It feels like safe casting, if that makes any sense. Like he's like who's gonna be like this guy? Who's the big kind of like if you're gonna think of some guy who's mythical or aloof or something like that. It's like and he's supposed to be commanding. It's like Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like the first guy would come to mind.
Yeah,
there were some other names that were getting thrown in there that I thought were interesting, or that people wanted to see. That would at least entertain the idea, I guess.
But I think one of the neat things about Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, I think this is something you've already pointed out. It's just that his voice has that really uniqueness, and it sounds like that guy can monologue for a long time, and then he can monologue about random like magic things,
incantations and stuff.
Yeah, and then you just be like, whatever, that just sounds awesome, and just have that thing keep going, and that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do think is really kind of weird, and I guess this is always just how it's been with these Marvel movies, is it always feels like they're just picking the guys that are most that mostly appeal to women. Do you feel that that's how they like? Do you agree with me, or do you feel like it's?
I can kind of see where you're going with that, because there are a lot of people who, I guess if you look at it before, like when you look at it now, you can kind of see that, like with Chris Pratt, Robert Downey Jr., stuff like that. But if you look at it when they were cast at the time, they were nobodies essentially.
Yeah.
Like whenever Chris Pratt got picked, nobody knew who he was, because all he came from was Parks and Rec, and Robert Downey Jr. was just getting back. I think the only thing he did was like Zodiac and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and even those weren't like, nobody still was talking about him really. So I think if you look at it like that, but then again, like they just have a good eye for that kind of thing. Like these are people who are going to appeal to that audience or something like that. You could say that. Like I could see.
I do. I mean, I like that it at least is appealing to everyone around. I mean, it does kind of get a little cringeworthy when it just seems like all the Marvel heroes always have to have one particular scene that's like where their shirts are off. I mean, and that kind of actually goes with kind of the controversy on superheroes, is that like superhero females have always been known to be like scantily clad, and then that's been a huge complaint and everything. And then nowadays we're getting redesigns of characters. I don't know if you've seen it, but Batgirl now has this kind of more, and then that's the same thing with Miss Marvel's been following that trend, and someone else recently had a redesign to make them look more realistic and less skin revealing. But then if you think about, the funny thing is now we have superhero males that are kind of going the alternate route. So I wonder if maybe like 10 to 15 years down the line, I mean, it probably won't happen, because I don't imagine the roles, the gender roles kind of switching. But to imagine, men complaining that, superhero males are too scantily clad and everything.
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah. This is a funny thing. They had this news story come up. They canceled back in the 90s. They would do Marvel superhero like swimsuit editions, and they were gonna do one for they always did them with females, but this year, like the one time they're gonna bring it back, they're actually gonna do a bunch of male superheroes in that same way. So I mean, they was gonna kind of go for both sexes and stuff. So
speaking of just Miss Marvel in general, who do you have anyone in line that you'd like to see in the running for Captain Marvel?
Same one everyone else has, Kara Thrace from Battlestar Galactica. I can't remember what.
Oh, Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
She just looks the exact way they kind of like draw her, and so it really does work. And I think she was probably one of the cooler characters to have in it.
There's some ones that I've seen get thrown around that would be interesting to see, because it's kind of like stuff they don't normally do, but it'd be interesting to see. But man, I'm trying to think of some of those. I know Emily Blunt's name has been thrown around.
I would think that she would be cool. I mean,
they actually somebody asked her. It wasn't somebody like in a formal position, but somebody asked her about that. She said it would be something interesting to do.
Wasn't Emily Blunt the person they originally wanted to be
Black Widow?
Okay, yeah.
And she actually was going to do it, then she dropped out because I think it was scheduling, but at the same time, I think her husband's John Krasinski, who's Jim from The Office, but he was the other guy who might have been Captain America.
Oh,
it was him and Chris Evans, I think, at the very end of that, and people say that might have had something to do with like she dropped out because he didn't get it, but I don't know how true that is.
That'd be kind of weird though. I mean,
he kind of has that old timey look to him a little bit.
No, I mean for one, I actually don't know who that is. So
he's if
I don't watch The Office. So.
He's like the main guy besides Michael Scott. He's that kind of like dude with the disheveled like haircut, kind of like Everyman. Like he's the guy that you like. Whenever people watch the show, it was Jim and Pam. They watched it for. Besides a lot of other people who are really funny on that show, but in the beginning it was those two they watched. Pam was the receptionist. Jim was like the guy who didn't want to work there, and everybody could identify with.
Yeah.
But that would have been interesting.
It would have been.
But Gillian Jacobs was another one I've seen, and I like her a lot. I don't know how. I mean, it's kind of hard to, I guess, kind of see her in that role. But there's a lot of roles that people can't imagine other people being in, and they kill it. So
I think sometimes, I mean, with the recent castings, which really started with Heath Ledger becoming the Joker, is anytime someone puts a really out there cast member as the character, then you suddenly go, that's crazy, but if you think it's going to work out, I have trusted you.
I mean,
that's kind of my thoughts on it.
That's what actors do, they they're supposed to, it's, what I mean, it's not somebody who's going to just, I mean, there probably are some people who would just not take it seriously or just take it as a paycheck, but some people want to do it so they can do something cool with it.
I'm wondering how Jesse Eisenberg's going to be as Lex Luthor.
Did you see that? Funny you mentioned that. There was a recent picture that was taken because they're doing other of those Now You See Me movies, and on set he was wearing a hat and he took it off for the group photo, and his hair, like he had obviously his hair was growing back. Yeah. So people think that he's gonna be bald for Batman and Superman because it was like just growing back in.
Okay.
So
I mean, I think they'd have to do it. Like people, it would seem weird for him to just keep his hair the entire time.
Kind of curly locks he's got.
Yeah.
I liked how different his casting was when they said that he was gonna be Lex Luthor. I was like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens with this. I think it was watching The Social Network that kind of got me on board with that. Somebody who thinks they're smarter than everybody else in the room, and more than likely is for the most part, at least in that movie. But how do you feel about all the DC casting so far? Like for Aquaman and
they're pretty
Flash?
Cool. The guy who plays Khal Drogo being Aquaman, it's like I can't imagine him like being the same way Arthur is, because he, Arthur it looks like he's like this blonde-haired regular kind of guy, but to me, Khal Drogo's character, I don't remember his name, but he
is it Jason Momoa?
Jason, Momoa.
Yeah,
I know that's Jason Momoa is the right name, but Jason Momoa, like, he looks like he would be kind of one of those guys that would, you know, if there's some secret world of Atlantis, I'd imagine that guy being one of the ones that's there, because he just looks like he's like from another world.
He's got like a presence to him.
Yeah, he's got that presence to him.
I understand.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's cool. Will Smith's one of the ones that I'm not quite sure about. I like him as kind of like a central role as a character like Deadshot. I'm just kind of hoping that the way the movie is, I mean, you know, it's these rogue supervillains that are doing missions for the U.S. government to, you know, doing, you know, these secret kind of dirty U.S. government missions. And they're not really supposed to be heroes at all. They're supposed to be villains. And I'm kind of wondering if they're going to, you know, if Will Smith's going to take it that way, or if he's going to go, no, I have to be a hero in this, you know.
Yeah, and I could if it was anybody else, but I know recently, like, he's been, as far as like when, for, you know, him either being in a sequel or like movies he's been in, he's had certain demands about, like, you know, like what to do or what his character does, stuff like that. But I'd hope that it's interesting that they're going for a movie like that so soon, and how on board people are going. Well, I mean, I say that, but Guardians of the Galaxy came out and that was huge. So I mean, anything's really possible at this point.
Now, the girl that plays Harley Quinn, Margaret Robbie, I think that's like dead on.
That's pretty good.
Like,
that's pretty
just
good.
Watching her from Wolf of Wall Street, I feel like that's, you know, that you can see the evolution of the role being like, you know, her, which is pretty cool.
And good for her getting. I mean, I seen the movie and I thought she was good in it. I just didn't. You always, whenever you see somebody new, you want to kind of see them in other stuff. Like, oh yeah, I hope you. I mean, you don't want to get. Yeah. You don't want, because I mean, you don't want to see the same revolving door of actors and actresses all the time.
Do you think you'll watch the movie that they're both going to star in called Focus? I think it's called.
I'm not too terribly interested in it, just because. I mean, not to say that I'm not. That, like, it's because of her or Will Smith. It's just that the movie itself, and I don't know, man. Will Smith just doesn't really do it for me anymore. Mm-hmm. I guess it's just because he hasn't really. I mean, not to say. I haven't really seen a movie of his in a long time that I really, really liked. Yeah. I think the last one I liked, which people will probably give me shit for, last one I remember was iRobot. That was kind of a cool movie.
I liked that one.
But then again, if I probably watched it now, I don't know how much I'd still like it. But when I watched it back then, I liked it. But then again, you know, when you're 15, you'll like pretty much anything, I guess.
I'm like 25, and I still like everything.
I still love Super Mario Brothers, the movie. Anybody can fight me on that. That's awesome.
We will fight the world because we love Super Mario Brothers.
Come on, dude. Like, I was talking about this to somebody recently, like, John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins as Mario and Luigi. Like, if the movie could have been a lot better, but that's pretty good casting.
If we get a chance for Pensacon, do you want to dress up as Mario and Luigi, but make sure we find ways to make it look like we're the Mario and Luigi from the movies?
That would be so cool.
And then they go, you're like, who are you? I'm Mario. Mario. Who are you? I'm Luigi Mario.
God damn it, man. That would be pretty cool. Try and find a good pair of boots.
Yeah.
God. That'd be so fucking funny.
There we go. That's our cosplay plan.
It wouldn't be too hard to just find some overalls.
Exactly.
And I got a mustache.
Yep.
You need to grow a mustache out, buddy.
No.
Well, John Leguizamo was clean. He was clean shaved. That's right. Okay. Mario, they didn't do the traditional, because Luigi usually has a mustache too.
Just gotta run around and go, Daisy! Where's Daisy?
You don't see Daisy anymore. It's always Princess Peach.
Well, you see her in Smash Brothers, I think.
Yeah. No, well, was she in Brawl? Or I know she's not in the new one.
Probably not. I don't think. But like, if there's a Mario party, I think she's one of the characters usually in there.
Yeah, she is. So, and in Mario Kart, usually too,
she's one of the I guess the second tier characters. You know, you're not gonna see her in like those, you know, first roles, but when they're like, we've got like 15 Mario characters we need to find, you know, Daisy's gonna be one of them. I think she'll probably, you know, they're starting to branch out on the amiibo characters that they're putting out. And I think she'll probably be one of the ones they'll do.
That's pretty cool.
They'll probably just
that whole amiibo thing is really cool, I think.
Yeah, I haven't bought any of those because I know that if I do, I'm gonna end up buying a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's what Ryan's been doing. He's been buying a bunch of them.
Oh god. Yeah. See, Loot Crate had this whole deal where you could buy you could spend $200 and then go ahead and give you all of the first 2 series. And I was really wanting to do it, but thankfully since came into me, I'm like, no, it's not a good idea. It would be a stupid idea.
Who's your main in Smash?
I've not played the new Smash Brothers yet.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have it yet?
We don't have it yet. Yeah.
Oh, we should get it.
We will.
It's pretty good. I who did you usually play as in any Smash? Like, was there any character in particular you gravitated towards?
I would say Link. Just off the top of my head, because I know how his moves are. Yeah. I think.
Link's a pretty, as far as like from when I played him, I'm not a Smash expert or anything, but he's a lot stronger in this one, it seems like, compared to how he used. And they have Toon Link now, who I love.
I think Toon Link was in the last one too.
He was. They done a lot of things different to kind of differentiate him or whatever. I was telling you, but like as far as Project M has spoiled me for Smash because it was so much better than Brawl. Yeah. They even added in a bunch of costumes. They even changed Snake's moveset.
Really?
So that he could actually, he could use his strength gun. Could he do that in Brawl? Use a strength gun?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and you get 3 shots if you hit, and depending on how much like damage, like say if someone's like 80% damage, they'll fall asleep for like 2-3 seconds. But if they're like they just out, they'll only fall asleep for a second. But after 3 shots, he has to reload it. But they completely redid his character, and like I remember we played Brawl just to, like me, Kenny, and Brian played Brawl just to kind of see the big difference from it. Wow.
Yeah,
it's night and day.
Speaking of Snake, though, what do you think of the new Metal Gear Solid?
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. I want to know what's going to go on. I don't know if that series is ever going to make sense, though. I think it went on the deep end following like Metal Gear Solid 4. I mean, it's always been in that kind of weird like craziness. But I mean, all of even the promotional materials for like 3 and 4 and 2, you kind of saw where they were. Like you kind of understood that there was a story there. This one, it's just like there is Punished Snake, and there's Venom Snake, and there's Snake with the big horn in his head from like the explosion. I just don't know what's going on. And then they keep trying to go, we need to make this darker, and we need to make these torture scenes and stuff. It's crazy. I mean, I still want to see it just because things like that are interesting. I sometimes like the way series go when they kind of go in this dark route. I mean, obviously sometimes with this series it's a little weird when they go really dark, such as when you saw Ground Zeroes and they were saying, oh, there's another bomb in her. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, that was I wasn't I mean, Metal Gear every now and then would have some like comparatively to the rest of the game would have pretty dark moments. I wasn't prepared for how dark Ground Zeroes went. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Is that what we're gonna be in for with this one?
Yeah. pretty dark.
I am excited though. Like at first I was kind of like Metal Gear, yeah, it'll be fun. I liked 4, and I mean 4 was the last real Metal Gear game that came out. So there's been Peace Walker and all that stuff, but it's not the same. But I mean, after playing Ground Zeroes, I was like, I should not have played Ground Zeroes.
It was fun.
It was fun.
I mean, it was still fun. It was just short, and I don't know if it was really worth the money to.
I got it for like $20.
Yeah.
So for me, and I played the shit out of it. Like I went through all the submissions and all that, and it wasn't that I regretted buying it. I was just like, oh god, I know it. Phantom Pain is a million years away.
Did I ever get to show you the stuff I did when I was messing around with it?
I've told this story to everybody, but I remember when I was watching you play it, and you were in that guard booth, and you went to go throw the magazine, and it ricocheted off like 3 corners of the booth and hit Snake in the head, and he was like, and then the guy was like, "What's that?" God,
yeah,
that killed me.
Yeah, I call that the magazine speed run. You just keep throwing magazines at me.
Speed run. I win. I just instantly win.
Yep.
God, that's so good. Did you read that there was an article with the guy? They're talking about the original builds for Resident Evil 4. Just to kind of, because I just remember I read it like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The guy, remember the Hookman build for that?
Yeah.
The guy who was pretty much the brainchild for that was the guy who was responsible with the creation of Nemesis in Resident Evil 3, because that was originally a side story game. So a lot of the stuff that in that game, he was kind of like, that was his project essentially. So like the split decision moments, because he was the one behind Dino Crisis, apparently in charge of that team. So like the split decision stuff, Nemesis itself, like being able to chase you through rooms and stuff like that, that was all him apparently.
That's cool.
While Mikami was busy with Code Veronica. And then like I remember they talked about the Resident Evil 4 thing, because he was just like talking about basically how I well, it's not going to air now, but like how I said, like how when you like in in horror games like Resident Evil 1, they encounter all this shit. There's mystery. You don't know what is going to happen next because you don't know everything. Then you get to 2, and it's like, well, you as a player kind of know what's going on, and then it kind of takes away from sort of the scare, but they just kind of upped it from there. So for Resident Evil 3, he was like, well, how we have a monster that can follow you through rooms and shit like that, and then that's kind of where his Hookman thing came into play.
So the Hookman kind of would have followed you through rooms.
Follows you through rooms, but he also wanted to do something where Leon was infected with a virus that would make him hallucinate, and they wanted it to be, I don't know if he said the problems with the build was that there'd be certain parts of the game where you wouldn't know if what you were shooting was real or not, and would that frustrate the player in wasted ammunition, or will we factor that in? And if it's scripted, that immediately takes away from it, because when it will always happen. Like they said, there was too many variables at the time, and that the engine just couldn't handle. It's like we couldn't make it random, but that just made more strain on this, and we could only as far as enemies go, we could only have. There wasn't enough memory for the Hookman and other stuff too. It was like a real big thing, which is interesting. I mean, it was interesting because I remember seeing that build with the supernatural type kind of stuff in it, which would have been cool.
Yeah, the supernatural, that first build of Resident Evil 4, or it would have been the second build because Devil May Cry was the first build. But that build really, it made me always interested in it, especially when they decided to scrap all of it. I remember reading that. I was like, oh my god, seriously? I like the setting a lot. The kind of dark. I guess, was it a castle?
Yeah, I want to say it looked like a castle, but it could have been I did see hints of what looked like a factory or something, but I think castle. I think you're kind of on the nose there.
Yeah, I didn't like the supernatural elements, but I just liked this look where it was this kind of really dark, area where Leon is just wandering around in this kind of super thick kind of brown coat with the fur top and everything. And it looked like, I think he had a Desert Eagle in one hand.
I think, yeah.
And it was just, it looked so cool, and that was kind of a really cool idea that I just, I wish they'd had, they'd have found a way to make it into another, game. They could have put it somewhere else.
Yeah, because from what I read, that one of the first things people were kind of unweary about was the supernatural stuff. I think he said in that same article where he said that all that stuff would have been just stuff in Leon's head. It wouldn't have been real, like the smoke monster stuff chasing him and shit. Yeah.
Okay, well that I would have been down with that.
That would have been part of the hallucination part. You wouldn't know what's real and what isn't, and how that would affect gameplay. It's the same thing they did with 5. They had that. Did you ever read the early reports for 5?
I heard the hallucination stuff from the heat.
Yeah. I remember seeing a really early build, one of the early trailers for it, and man, that was back when Chris was the only character and all that stuff. I'd like to see what the first design builds for that game were. Not that I don't like Sheva or anything like that. I just would have liked to have seen what it would have been more like 4.
That's another art book I saw years ago that I really wanted to grab. Was the Resident Evil 5 art book, because I think they said something about a tyrant being in there, one of the Resident Evil old school tyrants were going to be in there, and that kind of made me excited because that's one thing I always love is seeing concept art for something that once was there.
It's really interesting.
I mean, one of the great examples of seeing concept art that we really wish was there was the version of Neil Blomkamp's Aliens.
Oh, God.
You want to talk about that?
No. Don't want to talk about it.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, Neil Blomkamp released some concept art for an Aliens. What he would have done for Aliens, I think, was it?
He said it was something that while he was working, it was just something that he would do in his spare time, just for fun.
Man,
it wasn't even something he was commissioned to do. It was just something he would have liked to have done, and it was like it would have been a sequel to Aliens and all that stuff, like an actual sequel.
Yeah, and then it included Ridley and was she wearing Ripley? I mean, sorry, Ripley, and she looked like she was wearing like Xeno.
Yeah, like she wore like a space jockey garb or something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. And what's his name was still alive? You said Hicks. Yeah,
who was scarred from that shit that happened to him in the second one.
Yeah, I feel that seems to be the route Hollywood is going. An example of this is Terminator Genesis, where it's they want to do movies, but then they go, well, the last movies weren't very good. They went into weird directions. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a movie that takes place in this movie, and we're going to pretend like everything else didn't happen, such as the Superman Returns movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, same thing with Terminator Genesis.
It's true that Superman Returns did that. They pretty much just ignored anything past Superman 2. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to like Superman Returns.
Me too. It felt like the movie, it just wanted to be less about any other character other than Superman, I feel like.
To me, the issue was like, it was like trying to remake Superman 2. Mm-hmm. Or it was like saying like, look, this movie's also Superman 2 or Superman 1 and 2. It wasn't like its own thing. However, that one scene where he saves that plane, mm-hmm. that's like the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
it's such a good scene.
It had some cool moments and stuff.
I'm sorry, to be fair, that scene and the scene at the very end when like he's above Earth and he can hear everyone.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool. I like that scene too.
Yeah, I feel bad that Brandon Routh was a cool Superman. People really don't, I think they don't like him just because that movie was bad.
He has pretty much gone away.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on Chuck for, a few episodes?
He's actually still doing DC stuff. He's now in Arrow, where cool. He's playing the Atom. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. At least he's finding some work.
So that'll be, cool. It would be nice if, and that's one of the things that sucks about the DC universe, even though it's so well done, is that they don't have anything tie in, they're not. So I mean, we're never probably likely gonna see Brandon Routh be the Atom or Ray Palmer in that series, but he probably would be pretty cool at it, and he's a guy that's in the same kind of he has the credentials to do movies,
Yeah,
I would say. So I mean, he's definitely a movie actor. So
and I'm trying to think, the last movie was Scott Pilgrim. The last movie he was in.
I'm sure he was in other ones too. There's Dylan Dog was another one.
Oh God,
yeah,
I forgot all about that movie.
I forgot about it too.
Damn, that's good. That's a good callback to a movie I would have never thought about in a million years.
I never even got to see it. Did you?
I didn't either.
Yeah. Well,
Dylan Dog. Well, here you go. Podcast over, fellas.
Yeah.
Let's go home.
That's one of those really niche comic book movies that everyone's like, what? It was a comic book? I don't know if you know this, but I actually just picked up the Secret Service quote, Secret Service : The Kingsman.
Oh, Kings, you picked up that comic.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to see what that is.
I've heard good things, or good things about the movie.
It seems like it's pretty interesting. One of the things I noticed on the front of the comic book is not only does it point out that it's Mark Millar, but also Matthew Vaughn is also listed as an author of it. Like, not only did he help do the movie, but now he's also the guy that helped write the book. So
I noticed that whenever
someone
looking at it.
Yeah, and I heard that they've been fighting for the ratings to try it, because at first for a while it was going to be PG-13, but they just pushed it to R. And so I imagine that movie's going to be pretty violent, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the guys that did Taken and... Well, not Taken, I'm sorry. Why am I saying that? Wanted, yeah.
Wanted, Taken. You take things you want, so...
Yeah, exactly. Wanted, and then also Kick-Ass. So, I can't imagine this movie not being, like, bloody and everything. So, what else can we say? What do you think of the new Jurassic Park trailer? I mean, the Jurassic Park trailer that's been out for a while.
I'm on the fence about that.
Yeah.
I really liked the somber Jurassic Park music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to take. I mean, people will get all up in arms about CGI and things like that for trailers, but like the number one example I can point to, like as far as like CGI and trailers, is watch the very first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer and then watch the other one that was out like 6 months later. It's astronomically different.
Like, so it just had a lot more CGI is what you're saying?
Yeah, like, especially, like, the scene, like, that one scene they always show with, like, Star-Lord jumping through the air with his helmet on, like, in the near beginning of the movie. In the first trailer, there's not much going on and everything. It looks kind of pedestrian, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And then in the next trailer, there was, like, his mask was more detailed. There was, like laser fire coming at him. There was smoke and all this other stuff. It was crazy how different it looked. The Fury Road trailer for Mad Max.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it at first. Somebody on Reddit posted like comparison shots. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! I mean, like, pretty much everything in that movie, like crash wise, is gonna be real. But like a lot of the stuff, like the embellishments in the background, are gonna be CG. Wow, you can probably find it like in the Mad Max Fury Road official trailer 2 on our movies or whatever. But the CGI thing though doesn't bother me. The dialogue itself was kind of I guess stilted, or wasn't really anything special. But then again, it just could be out of context stuff that I haven't seen yet. But I mean, as far as like the concept and stuff like that, I mean, I'm on board. Because like, the theme of the movie is like basically like why they do that in the first place.
Why?
The director was saying like the reason that they do any type of genetic splicing deal with dinosaurs in the first place is because the park is starting to diminish in popularity.
Oh yeah. See, you jumped back to Jurassic Park, so I was still thinking you were talking about the concept for Mad Max.
Oh, my bad. No, yeah.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah, so it's just like,
I mean, you can kind of see that. People were pointing that out when they were doing rewinds of the trailer, where they were showing that I think it's the plesiosaur is the thing that's jumping out of the water and eating a great white, and which is a funny callback to Jaws, Steven Spielberg and everything.
Plesiosaur, yeah.
You see the plesiosaur, and you see some people are jumping up and excited about it, but then you see some kids are playing on their phone and they're just like ignoring it. They're just like, it's whatever.
I think one of the concept art that they went with to try and like show what they wanted the movie to be about.
Yeah.
It was like a kid on his iPhone and he was standing in front of like a Tyrannosaurus like exhibit thing with like one walking behind him and he was just totally uninterested by it.
Yeah.
Which is weird that the concept of that, but I mean it makes sense. I mean,
I think that the concept for the movie seems pretty solid to me. And I really haven't seen too many flaws in it. So I'm pretty excited for the movie. I really want to know what that new dinosaur is that they splice out, because
apparently it's elite because the toy is showing out.
Yeah, I mean they show this Lego toy, but it kind of looks just like a albino T-Rex,
The one I saw wasn't a Lego, but it's pretty much what you're saying.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's pretty much it looked like a Tyrannosaurus with just longer arms.
Yeah. that's the deadliest predator ever. Predator. T-Rex with regular sized arms.
I will say this: I don't care how silly it looked to some people. What's his name on the bike next to all the Velociraptors was pretty cool. Did
you remember the old concepts for Jurassic Park 4? They were the Dino Riders.
That was a pretty out there idea.
Is that what you think that him riding on the bike is supposed to be?
I know what I wanted it to be and what I thought it might have been, but I think they actually came out and said this isn't the case. But some people were saying because the role he's supposed to be, Chris Pratt's character, is he's supposed to be like the warden for the Velociraptors. He's the guy who like he's that kind of guy like who, for like tigers and lions, he raises them when they're from birth to be what they are, not be what they are, but to kind of train them and stuff. And that's who he's supposed to be. And people were thinking that maybe since he's raised them, they see him differently. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the guys, I don't know if it was the director or somebody, like, I don't know if they tweeted or said something. I don't know how 100% this is, but they said that wasn't really the case. It was just more like a thing, like something different. But I'd hope it would be like that. That'd be cool. I mean, fuck it, it's a movie.
Someone said that they think the reason what's going on is that the Raptors are so scared of what he's running from that they're all like following him the same way.
I read that too.
I like what you're saying about it and everything.
Because it's just cool. It's just be something cool.
I do like the fact that that Chris Pratt's character is essentially kind of like the translated version of the first guy from the hunter from Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah.
He has to throw in a line where he goes, "Clever girl."
I almost expected him to say something like that in the trailer. Because in the book that guy didn't die.
Yeah, I heard about that.
In the book, he actually like does a lot of shit. I think he shoots a rocket launcher at a Tyrannosaurus and kills a bunch of raptors and shit.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
I always wanted to read the book, but I never really got around to it.
I got it over here somewhere. You want to check it out?
I think I saw it actually.
Yeah, Michael Crichton. He had a lot of really awesome series, that really have made a lot of ground in the entertainment business, not just in books. And one of his series that's currently about to start up, or has started up just now, the 12 Monkeys.
Oh yeah, I forgot he wrote that.
Yeah, well, maybe I actually don't know.
No, wait. I think was that a French thing?
Yeah, it is. My bad.
No, it's like no, but like when you said it, like for some reason it seemed like it was.
I feel like maybe it was the guy they were saying from the director of one of the Jurassic Parks did the 12 Monkeys movie. It must have been something like that, because I don't know why, when we were little, seeing the ads for this movie kind of.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, they always used to do shit like that.
They would, from the makers and the producers of this movie. Quentin Tarantino is the worst at that, because everyone thinks that there are 5 billion movies out there that Quentin Tarantino's made that he's not. Hostel, Man with the Iron Fist.
There's another movie too that I can't think of.
So many other ones.
I know it's like the same thing with the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Everybody thought it was Michael Bay. It was just Michael Bay Presents or whatever, produced or something. It's like people see that name and they just like, he made the movie. He wrote it and directed it.
Yeah, it still feels like he made it though when you look at it.
It still feels like he made it.
It's there's just some awkward scenes in there, but everyone, at least when they watched it that first time, I think it still had that feeling of some of the Transformer movies where people were like, when they watch it, they're like, "Oh, it's that bad," and then when they watch it again later on, they're like, well, there's a lot more awkward scenes in there. I think that was the way the Transformers 4 movie was for me, because I saw that movie the first time and I thought it still has those moments that are Michael Bay-ish, just slightly, but it feels like they're doing everything they can to make it feel not Michael Bay, which, means that it's 75% Michael Bay, and, so it's still, that movie, but, and it felt, but then when I watched it, it was like some of the Mark Wahlberg lines suddenly felt more weird and felt more like it's like his entire what is my motive? Oh, my motive is to care only about my daughter and nothing else that's going on in the world. And also, what is the role of the boyfriend? The boyfriend is to consistently try to make advances on Mark Wahlberg's daughter every single second of the movie for no apparent reason. It's like, it doesn't matter that the world's ending. Let's try to piss off your dad.
To build upon that, because it's going to tie in what I'm about to ask you. Is there any movie? And I know for the most part you and me are pretty. I like to give everything a chance to kind of judge it fairly. Is there any movie that you've ever just either turned off, didn't finish, or walked out of movie theater, or wanted to and didn't?
I feel like there could have been something like that.
You were just sitting in the theater and I need to leave. I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah. I'll have to think about that.
I know exactly what my answer is.
What's yours?
Transformers 2.
Transformers 2?
And the only reason I didn't is because my brother bought my ticket.
Really?
And I didn't want to walk out of it because I would have felt bad because he bought my ticket.
No.
And we watched House of the Dead. And we sat through that.
See, those movies, House of the Dead didn't seem terrible when I first watched it either, though. We were just like, oh, that's,
It's because we were so young. Even then, but then again, I'll still watch it because it's so bad. I can enjoy how bad it is. But with Transformers 2, I was just like, I can't sit through this anymore. I have to get up and leave.
Yeah, I think I've only lucked out with that when it comes to movies, but only on Netflix is the only time I'll ever go, there's no reason to watch this. I guess it's only the times where I'm like, well, I'm not just paying for this movie, I'm paying for all the other movies in this library, so
yeah. And to be fair, I watched my brother again pay for my ticket for Transformers 4 when we watched it, and I didn't like. I went to on Reddit afterwards. People were saying it was the worst Transformers movie, and I was just like, did you see the second one?" And I wanted to like slam my head into the keyboard and like rip my hair out.
You know why the second one was so horrible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's a mix because Michael Bay, I think, kept writing when the writer's strike happened. So he's like, fuck this, I'm going to keep finishing this movie regardless. And also, I mean, so he cares nothing about Transformers. That's my opinion on it. It's just, he's just been like, I'm in it for the money. I care about nothing. And that's, all I care about is, bitches and money. That's all I care about. And it's always just been a weird thing to have this guy that's just doing whatever he wants to with this thing you love. Can you imagine if he had so let's just make a metaphorical world where instead of Marvel being successful with Iron Man, that they start handing over the rights to Marvel movies to Michael Bay for the success of Transformers. What would you say? How would you imagine that would go?
I'd like to think that there'd be a balance with that, as in like.
So I mean, I'm picturing, let's say, Mark Wahlberg is Tony Stark.
Oh my god!
I think we just found.
I think we just found a Tesseract. I built this in a cave with scraps. And it would have been like, who's a character, who's an actor he always uses? There would have been like some.
Megan Fox is gonna be Black Widow.
She's Black Widow, and there would have been.
And she's in majority of the scenes, but it's always her from behind.
Yeah.
And then Shia LaBeouf is Captain America.
Shia LaBeouf's Captain America, and there's
guys,
always...
we gotta go. No. Assemble the Avengers. No.
And there's always, and in each movie there's a very, very super racist wisecracking. Jarvis is voiced by like Marlon Wayans, who's been ordered to act as lowbrow racist as he can. Pretty much every character will have a character in a movie that's super racist or borderline offensive. If not offensive.
Oh man, they just have to do everything just radically different, and they're like, so okay, Captain America is from the past, and that's where he's. Well, no, you know what Captain America is? Captain America is a caveman, and then he was frozen in the past, and so he is from there,
It's like
he also ran into an army of robots back in the past. And that's Ultron in the future, and so he's caveman.
It's all together. Mm-hmm. It's all tied together.
Yep. And he also turns into the Hulk.
His alter ego is the Hulk. It's a new canon.
Yep.
Did you ever see? How much do you know about the new Fantastic Four movie?
A little. I know who the cast is and what their roles are.
To be fair, it's a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Teller, Jamie Bell. Is it Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
He's good. He's really good. I feel really bad. I can't remember who's playing Invisible Woman. But I've seen like stuff that like, she's supposed to be really good too.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was reading on Reddit, they announced who Dr. Doom is supposed to be, and he's supposed to be like a blogger who goes by like the handle Doom. And somebody it was like one of the top rated comments in the thread. It was just like, it's like, this is what Fox would do with a movie like Thor. Like Thor would have been a high school senior, and Thor would have been his nickname, his football nickname, and his father would have ran the company. Would have been a military like company called like Odin, and he has a friend and or brother who's jealous of his popularity in high school, and he's a hacker, and of course his name is Loki! Exclamation point for the eye, and some crazy shit happens, and Thor, quote unquote, like finds himself at his father's company and finds a experimental super weapon called Mjolnir. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it just would have been like, the way he was explaining it was so scarily accurate to how that movie actually would have been. It just made me go, man, I'm glad I don't live in that world.
See, I don't think. I mean, I think Fox does some weird stuff, but I really think that all the superhero movies, like late '90s to the early 2000s, all had these weird, moments like that. I mean, where you can get into talking about for like an hour or two about the whole Tim Burton series. About what was it? Superman had a chest piece that would be X-ray, and you could see through his like heart or something like that.
Yeah. For when I think it was Tim Burton's Superman, it was actually gonna be like that. I was just like thinking, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't know. It's like if X-Men were gonna be made now, the first X-Men movie, they actually would have wore the outfits they wore. They wouldn't have wore like black leather like everybody's superhero does. Because now you watch the Avengers or Captain America, they're actually wearing the outfits they wore.
Pretty much, yeah.
And everybody's just like, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, they almost put Wolverine in that
that shit looked really cool.
It looked awesome,
that
dude.
Looked really cool.
I am so bummed that I think that would have been my favorite part of that movie, because I thought that movie was cool, but
it's actually pretty good. It kind of falls apart. Not completely, but the third act isn't very good. Like when he actually goes to fight Silver Samurai and all that stuff.
Yeah,
everything leading. It just those could have been handled a little better. But the first like 3/4 of that movie are awesome.
Yeah,
are pretty good. I liked it.
And everybody just loves Hugh Jackman. It'd be cool.
It's hard not to like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Do you know what they're gonna do with if I don't know if you know this because you're not as big of a comic book guy as I am, but they've been doing everything they can to really kind of distance themselves from the properties that are not Fox and Paramount. I mean, that are not Paramount. Sorry, they're distancing themselves from the properties that are Fox for the most part. Like you're seeing less X-Men issues, and you're seeing more of what Marvel can use that's not thing. Take for example, right now they're going to start questioning who Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's real parents are. Like, so supposedly now we're going to say that 20 years, like even though this stuff's been established for 20 years or more, we don't really know who Magneto's children's real heritage is, so we're gonna probably it's gonna turn out to be an Inhuman, and Inhumans are gonna be the new mutants and stuff like that. They're just gonna kind of replace the words just so they can find ways to not worry. I guess not worry about having these properties being taken by Fox. I would assume, because that's what they said. If they make any new characters, then it might make them give Fox more fuel to keep their properties that they're supposed to have.
Makes sense. I
feel like there should be some copyright way they can get these things back without having to just kind of wait till Fox runs out of ideas. There should be some way. It just seems like whatever loophole that they were forced into, just
money.
Yeah,
that's how much money they're willing to throw at it.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that Sony is at least kind of giving the rights back to Marvel for Spider-Man. I would just that would just make my day to get to see Spider-Man in the Avengers. I mean, I know the new Avengers, he is a part of the Avengers, but I would like him just to be like just to get a cameo in it would be cool.
It would be really cool.
But yeah, I probably need to cut it off at 60 minutes or so. I don't know how long these limits are, so
I don't know either. I know for podcasts you release, it's pretty much, there's not really I'd say if you go past, you shouldn't be going past at max like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
I've seen a lot of podcasts that last that long, but it's usually last like an hour and a half.
Yeah, hey, we'll give it a shot. Go for an hour and 30 then, if you want. Or hour 20, whatever. Yeah, alright. Well,
I have nothing else really to add.
Yeah, we're out of ideas. So thank you for joining us in the first ever episode of Super Mega Ultra Force podcast. Join us next time. We're going to try to do these every week, hopefully. And we're just going to find things to do. Till then, if you would like to look at our blog, it's supermegaultraforce.blogspot.com. And if you're looking for me on Twitter, I am the Samurai One on there. What about you, Bill?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yep.
And I'm Bill. Like our stuff.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.